Usher said, "It's 9 o'clock on a dot. I'm in my office starting a live." Good evening, everyone, and welcome to Sex, Love, Marriage. Okay, so if you're catching me on Instagram and YouTube, you see that I am feverishly trying to keep my hair down because I did my mousse, I did my gel, and then I put on my hood. And when I showed up, this happened. So y'all just gonna have to get the fuzz balls today, but that's cool because the topic is gonna be just phenomenal, and that's what we're here for, right? Right. I'm gonna do a quick introduction to who I am, give you a few quick announcements, and then we're gonna dive deep. Hi, pun intended. Hey, EBO underscore 2019, Mr. Liz. How are you? Thank you for joining me here on Instagram. Um, so for those who have never met me before, you never heard my voice, never seen this big bright face, I am your favorite life coach and certified clinical sexologist, Coach K. And I am the owner and founder of Love and Intimacy 101 LLC, where I work with women and couples on growing intimacy for a more fulfilled sex life and sexual experiences, guilt free. And I love when you guys join me on Tuesday nights for Sex, Love, Marriage, because here we talk all things sex, love, and what? Marriage. So that means pretty much everything in life. Um, just some quick reminders for you before we go into tonight's topic, which is, does body count matter? Super excited about this one. Really excited about this one. Listen, because the topic just seems, just like everything in the world, just keeps coming back around and coming back around. And so it's only right for me to do this, right? So, just a quick reminder to you guys that we have bingo shots and shopping coming up on December the 17th. That is bingo shots and shopping, plain and simple. For as little as $25, you could potentially win a womanizer duo. Ladies, if you don't know what that is, look it up. A 43-inch smart TV projector. We have a men's grooming kit. We have so many things that you can win. So we play games, we have raffles. It's naughty or nice, so you never know what you're going to get. December the 17th, that's at 6 p.m. And then for the ladies, the Lioness Den is open. Yes, the Lioness Den is a community centered, female only membership for women, for ladies, for us to commune and come together, support each other. That is exactly what we do. So if you want to know more about either one of those, always feel free to contact me directly. You can call or text 804-967-4551 or whatever platform you're on. Just shoot me a message. Okay, let's get into it. Does body count matter? So I put the poll up on Instagram earlier today. And one of the responses was, it depends on the parties involved. I agree. And then another person put yes. Great opinion. I can go ahead and tell you mine straight up and down, forward and backwards. Body count to me does not matter. I don't care, honestly. Now, how safely the body counts that were done, it was handled before me, that part absolutely matters. Because here's the stark reality of sex, because that's what we're talking about. We're talking about the bodies, right? One sexual partner that you may have had prior to me could have passed along something that could harm me and you in the future, whereas someone else who may have had 25 partners and they have safely maneuvered those 25 partners, and so there's no anything that can't be passed along that may harm me or you in the future, outside of hurt feelings and emotions. But we're not talking about that. We're talking about STIs, STDs, things that you truly cannot get rid of. So that was just my opinion on it. So let's dive into everything else. And I'm hoping, because I had some folks that really wanted to jump in on this, because I love to hear from you guys. I'm not here just to jab my jaws and to push what I believe on you. I am literally here to get these conversations started because many of these conversations are reality conversations that we sometimes want to have, but we're not sure how to start them. So we just don't. We just put it in the back of my mind and we just let it go. So some of you know the story of me and my husband, how we met and where we are today. But one thing that I will always remember that my husband, when we first got together, this is almost 20 years ago, so like 18, 19 years ago. Um, and I believe I can count on one hand how many times he actually asked me how many sexual partners I had prior to him. Now, granted, at the time that we met, he was 21, I was 24. So we were young. Well, we met at 20 and 24. Around the time he asked, he was about 21, and I was 24 going on 25. So we were young. And so that's, I guess, a natural question. And I want to say he never asked me more than twice, maybe three times. And the response I gave him was more than two, less than 100. That was the answer that I would always give him. And the reason that I would give him that answer is because I had two children prior to meeting him. So we know already, hey, duh, you probably had sex with at least two people, but you had sex with less than 100 people. And I did this on purpose. I did this because there was no need for his mind to be reeling about what I did prior to meeting him, which that memory and those thoughts would go further into some relationships. Now, I'm not saying that it was a guarantee that that is what was going to happen, but this is sometimes what is used inside of relationships ongoing. Now, I wrote down some notes, and you know, I don't really do notes. I literally just wrote down right before I jumped on here just some things because there was a comment on the post when I was just advertising that this was coming up from someone. And of course, you know, the pose the question was, does body count matter? And the person said yes, because otherwise, why would y'all lie about it? And it really made me think even further. Well, you know, a lot of times the reason why people may lie about their body count is centered in the pit of shame. Yeah, I paused there because I like for that to sink in. Sex just at all has been riddled and soaked in and drawn with and immersed in shame. There's so much shame around sex, it's ridiculous. And so when someone thinks about if they're being asked about their body count, immediately they may go on the defense because they feel like, okay, are you asking me this because you genuinely want to know? And why would you want to know? Or are you asking me so that you can utilize this against me if I tell you that I've been sexually active with more than whatever number that the person that asked feels is too much or too many? And so that judgment and that shame is what many will answer with. And I'll say this, that is going to be different for a male answering this question versus a female answering this question. Just based on what I've seen, what I know in history, I'm a Generation Xer. And in my time, it was always, and honestly, a lot of today, for a guy to have multiple partners is seen as a badge of honor. Like, oh my man, you know, you getting all the girls, you getting all the you getting all the dudes, whatever it is, no matter if it is a male who has a high partner count, it's just seen as this amazing thing. You're a Mac, you're supreme, you know how to do the damn thing. You can talk people out their draws. But when you think of a female who may come into the picture and they may have the exact same number body count, they're looked at as, oh, you nasty whore, you slut, you just disgusting, you just all kinds of names. And I can distinctly remember, and I don't know if it was Instagram or Facebook where the discussion was had. This was probably a couple years ago. And someone said, well, it makes a difference because females are entered, whereas men are the penetrators. They're the ones that are going into. And I was like, okay, I can see where you would like for that logic to be just, it makes so much sense. But at the end of it all, a sexual encounter is a sexual encounter. Your penis is still going into someone's vagina, mouth, or anus, or wherever orifice you decide to put it in. And it's still being, it's going into something, right? Um, the female body, because we're fucking amazing, let's just get it real. The female body is absolutely adaptable to their partners. And so the thought process of, well, if she's had so many partners, then she's going to be stretched out. You're not going to be able to hit the walls. It, that just lets me know that they truly pulled that mediocre version of the sex education that they did have in schools out before you even got there. And apparently, there's not a single book or doctor that you felt comfortable talking to and asking about this information before you so ignorantly decided to spew that out of your mouth. Women can produce, birth vaginally 10-pound babies. And I'm probably 98.9% sure that the person that made their comment doesn't have a 10-pound penis. And so, even if they had one sexual partner, but had 5 10-pound babies, their vaginal cavity, although it may, if the muscles are damaged, maybe a little bit different, it's not going to be like the neck of a shirt. This shirt, just a quick example. This shirt I've had for at least 4 years. This big old head that's up on my neck has gone into the neck of this shirt well over 100 times. And it still has its shape and form because I've taken care of it. And I don't take it and just destroy it. When I'm putting it on, I don't try to pull it apart and damage it. And I'm using this analogy because of the thought process that a woman with a high body count, her vagina must be trash. Well, number one, it can't be trash if she has a high body count, but I'm just saying. But saying that her vagina must be trash because there's no way that she could be satisfied by an average penis if she's had all of these partners. That just doesn't make sense. So a lot of times when asked about body count, shame definitely comes into play with that. Guilt is another way that this question gets answered. Some people, although they may not be shamed, feel shamed about their body count, they may feel guilty. They may feel, okay, I just met the one. We're going to be married. We're going to be in this committed relationship. But oh my gosh, I've had all of these sexual partners before you. So how can I really feel as though I belong to you? And so guilt starts to set in. And a lot of time with that guilt, it comes with the assumption of what the other party is thinking. Guilt can make you do and say some pretty bad things. Same with shame, just lie. And there's no reason to lie about your sexual experiences. Because here's the thing, if you may have had a sexual experience that you did not consent to, you really did not want, and it could have been multiple occasions of non consensual sex. Fast forward to adulthood when you meet the one, and now that guilt or that shame is attached to that question. And so you lie about it. Well, walking into a relationship based on any sort of lie can absolutely topple it in time. So we got to be careful about holding on to that guilt. That is something that you absolutely want to discuss and work through versus telling that lie. Another one that I have seen a lot of people talk about when it comes to having a high body count is the spiritual aspect of it. Got to wet my whistle a little bit because I'm talking a lot. So I see people talking about soul ties. Now, I'm gonna tell you right now, I cannot speak to about thoroughly anything in the realm of the deepness that some people may go into when it comes to soul ties. But essentially, when you are having a sexual encounter, there is a exchange of energy that does happen. But who's to say which type of sexual experience does that energy exchange happen in? And so, in order for me to accept that theory, then I would have to accept that the mental exchange of energy, because say we never had any type of penetration whatsoever in a sexual experience, but we may have done oral, or we may have mirrored masturbated with each other. You connect with your partner on a non-physical level. So where does body count and the energy exchange of body count come into play with that? Yeah, I just made it all convoluted and entangled. But you get what I'm saying. When it comes to the soul tie, it doesn't necessarily have to be completely associated with body count. Because if you're going into that sexual experience completely numb for the simple fact of straight pleasure, I'm not trying to be connected with, do you even form that? So if your body count is 100 and 99 of those were just strictly, hey, I want to get my rocks off, I'm not looking to connect with them, does that count in the exchange of energy and the soul tie aspect of things? Again, I can't speak too deeply into it because I am not educated or immersed in that language at all. So I will not go into that. So I just pose the question to whoever may listen or catch the replay. So then we think of the emotional part of it. So when I think of the emotional piece, I think of especially young people because it's an intricate art form. I like to think of sex as just an art form, a beautiful connection between you and the person that you choose. But we don't always get to choose the canvas or the material because again, there are instances of non-consensual sex. Again, that goes back to guilt and shame that could be attached to it. So the emotional piece, when you decide to have a sexual encounter with someone, you could be walking in there just saying, I don't want to be attached. I just want to get mine, and that's it. I'm not trying to be lovey-dovey. But our bodies, men and women, our bodies, our minds are so amazing and so not always under our actual control, that the emotional piece, you can't always control that. So I know you hear stories about some men and women who go and destroy their exes, cars, houses, and sometimes, unfortunately, even in their lives when it comes to that emotional connection that you get when you start to have a sexual relationship. If two people walk into it as, um, we're not looking to be together, or what they call friends with benefits. I forgot what they call it. Sneaky links is this new term. I think that's the newest term. I don't know what the fast forward term is. But at one point they were called friends with benefits. If both parties walk into that and just saying, this is just what we want to do, and then one person who was not able to, take hold of that emotion got a little intertwined, and boop, someone starting to like one more than the other, and that's when some pretty harmful things can happen. So you then start asking about, well, how many other people have you been with? Because maybe they're able to just, rack up those numbers, but that one person is not. If they don't have the experience that the person who has been able to rack the numbers up, been able to detach their emotion from that, that can be pretty harmful. In that instance, body count could matter. It can matter in the fact of this person gets attached pretty easily. So that's when you personally would want to pay attention to how many sexual encounters that you do have, because your attachment may not be at a healthy level where you can detach your emotions from your sexual experiences. So, how many people you sexually get involved with can get pretty dangerous to you, because while they may feel like y'all are just one offs and they just call you whenever, in your mind, because you can't control that attachment piece, you still stay connected with them in some type of way. So, boom, you see one of your sneaky links out with someone else, it could trigger you emotionally, and you could do something that is just not in the best interest of either party. So, the question, does body count matter? The answer, yes, in some situations, no, in others. There is no right or wrong answer to this. The important thing is, when you're speaking with your partner, that you two determine if it matters to each other. Because it would be awful that a great relationship ends because someone cared how many sexual partners you had before them. And before it's just oh, you had 25 people. Oh, no, we can't do this. Ask, communicate, talk about it. Why does this number matter? One, it could be you had 25 partners. Are any of them still emotionally attached to you? Were you safe with all 25 partners? Do you still have any attachment emotionally to them? Have you been tested to ensure that you don't have any STIs or STDs? Those are the real questions that matter when it comes to body count. Not just how many people have you slept with, just to arbitrarily know a number to potentially hold over your head in the future during an argument. But the other pieces is what matter. I do think it's important to have conversations like this with your partner pretty early on in the relationship, the same way that me and my husband did early in our relationship. The question was asked and answered, and it was done. because in the grand scheme of things, I don't care how many partners my husband had before me. I know who getting it now all the time, every day, whenever he want it. That's the part that matters to me. And so when you're able to get past that piece and ask those appropriate and necessary questions, that's when that can be left where it is. And never should body count ever be thrown in your partner's face during an argument as a means to hurt, because there's already too much shame and guilt that is connected with sex, that we don't need the people who we love and trust the most to use it against us. Woo, I think that was a pretty darn good topic, y'all. Listen, I know y'all were watching, you stayed pretty quiet, which is perfectly okay. But if you are catching the replay, I absolutely want to hear from you. If you're not comfortable leaving your comment here, you can always message me and I can post it anonymously or answer any questions that you may have about it. If this is a conversation that you want to have with your partner, or that your partner has been trying to have with you and you're just not sure how to converse back, definitely feel free to reach out to me, schedule some time so we can talk. Again, the purpose of Sex, Love, Marriage is to not be right to preach to you or to just throw what I feel down your throat. The purpose of these conversations is to get conversations in your life started, because we don't have enough discussion around these topics. So I want to thank you for rocking with me for another Tuesday night. You know, and if you don't, I'm telling you, we are here every single Tuesday night. You see, I speak to myself in like third party. I say we, but we are, because y'all my gang too. But we are here every Tuesday night at 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time with a new topic, new discussion. Some of them are spinoffs from the weeks before. All things sex, love, marriage, because my goal is to get these conversations started. So make sure you are back here next week for our topic, which is going to be, let's see, I suppose I had this queued up. Y'all forgive me. I'm my whole team, so I get to mess up when I can. Next week, the topic is sticks and stones may break my bones, but words. Dot 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 dot. We're going to talk about those words when we're back next Tuesday, the 13th at 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And again, if you need to schedule time, you can go to loveandintimacy101.com. That's loveandintimacy101.com. Go under services, learn more about me, schedule some time. Let's talk. And don't forget to reserve your spot at Bingo Shots and Shopping on December the 17th at 6 p.m. And ladies, make sure you find out about the Lioness Den. Registration for that is open, strictly for the ladies. All right, guys, I will see you back here next week. Bye.